And a report by student representative of the Board of Education.
Hey guys, hope you're doing good. Today I have my first major report on the activities I've been conducting and the information I've gathered from students. These are my findings from meetings with the middle school and high school students about clubs and activities. These are purely based on student feedback, and I understand if I may be missing context or reasoning behind certain decisions. And just feel free to jump in at any time with some questions. First, I spoke with 10 randomly selected middle school students about their experience with clubs and activities. All were involved in some form of after-school program, whether it was an extracurricular or a sport. And I had a list of questions ready, and we got through many of them. But the students naturally began sharing their own experiences and opinions, and we entered into like a really great conversation about their experiences. One topic that came up was how clubs are promoted and the information is distributed. Students mentioned that details are typically shared via Google Classroom or announced over the PA system, but some have trouble just accessing this information, whether it be not having the class codes or not being able to hear the announcements over the PA. A suggestion was made by one of the students to have more physical announcements like posters around the school, particularly in cafeterias, that display the classroom codes and important information so that students have, they're readily accessible to them. And if that's, another suggestion was to have a digital bulletin and like a TV monitor in one of these cafeterias that has all the information posted on there. That way teachers can instantly update it with their information, and they don't have to print out new posters every single time. When asked about if the amount of time and the range of activities offered at the school was sufficient, the students answered positively, and they felt that both of those things were good. And the students who needed to gather equipment or access information before their clubs raised some concerns about not having enough time to make it to advisory. They were having troubles retrieving their items on time or just making it to the lockers or their locker rooms. And that just led to items getting lost and just rushing in general. And I understand, and I've spoken with some people about it, that advisory time has been adjusted at the middle school recently, and it's been a very careful and calculated decision. So if there's just a way that these students could contact people at the school to receive a brief extension through an approval process, I think that would mitigate some of the issues they're having getting their items and making it to their advisories on time. So that was at the middle school level, and at the high school level, I interviewed students outside of the cafeteria area, collecting data through an anonymous Google form. We received 61 responses, 72% of students reporting they were involved in at least one club or sport. When asked why they weren't involved, the most common reason was simply just a lack of interest. Other factors like prioritizing grades and not having enough time were mentioned, but cited less frequently as reasons. As a part of that lack of interest component, many students said that they just wish they had more of their friends involved, or they just did not learn about the clubs on time to sign up to them. And the majority of students were satisfied with the resources available. There was just some students being like, oh, a nicer uniform would be nice, but they were all in general very happy with the resources they had for their activities. When asked about the types of clubs they would like to see, students offered a range of creative ideas. There were common threads throughout them, including a desire for roundtable discussion type clubs, almost a book club, but focused on other topics of interest like sports, music. And now based on all of this feedback, my suggestion would be to increase in-person promotion of clubs within the school. Announcements on Google Classroom and at open house and during homeroom are all very effective, but some students aren't checking these announcements or not going to open house. So to tap into that new base of students and get them involved, we can have students who are part of clubs promote outside of the cafeteria areas. They reach a very wide audience, and that encourages peer-to-peer engagement. And I understand that starting a new club and finding an advisor can be challenging and require funding, but there is a clear interest among students in creating these group activities centered around sharing interests like a book club type group, and just starting up and taking initiative in general. This year alone, Josh Gorland, Tyler Landusky, and Jacob Ciriello, shout out, started up Men's Choir, which now has 40 members, and students like Zayed Kadir are independently starting community and affinity groups for students in the district. Colleges and universities, they value students who take initiative and lead these new projects, and it overall promotes student achievement. And if the school can foster that environment where students have the ability to form these groups that don't require intensive resources, that could provide just a framework boosting student involvement and growing the MW community. Before I finish, I'd just like to thank Ms. Dudgeon, Mr. Berger, Mr. McElroy, and Dr. Ciara. You guys are absolutely incredible. I'd like to thank the middle schoolers I interviewed, Ajani, Monica, Nayeli, Liam, Addison, Ruby, RJ, and Tiana. You guys were absolutely incredible. I don't know what they're feeding kids these days, but they were so articulate with their answers and mature. It was insane. I definitely didn't speak like that. And lastly, I'd like to thank some high schoolers who came out to help me conduct the surveys and give away lollipops. That helped incentivize students to take the surveys. So thank you, Amani Fish, Emily Roy, and Justice Worthington. You guys are amazing. That is all I have for today. If there's any questions.
I have questions, but
Yes.
first you did an amazing job.
Thank you.
So congratulations, because that was very thorough. My first question is, and I'm sure that you are, being that you're a senior, you're in the world of going to college open houses. I've been to quite a few in the last few months, and one of the big things that they advocate for as soon as you walk in the door are their club fairs. So do we do type of a club fair at the high school level or at the middle school level?
Yes. At the open house that we have, there is a club fair there.
Okay.
And I think that, one of the things mentioned was that is a very effective tool for getting students interested, but I feel as though there's and talking with Michael, who's the previous student Board of Education rep, even when just conducting surveys like this and posting them on Classroom, you get a very specific set of students who are the people who are constantly checking the classroom and constantly listening to the announcements. And those students are already more likely to be involved in a club. And those students are also the people doing open house and going to open house. Some students are not going to those things or listening in. And if we could get more students interested in going to those activities, that would be incredible, like open house. But pairing that also with that direct engagement from other students inside of the high school, I think could boost involvement. But yeah, that was a great question.
And my follow-up to that is, I know you mentioned at one point in the presentation that some kids, they thought they missed the opportunity to join.
Mm-hmm.
Is that for pretty much any club? I mean, I know athletics is probably, you have to kind of try out and get on the team, but do the clubs have like a cutoff that if you don't join by a certain date, you're unable to join later in the year?
I cannot speak for every club. The ones that I'm involved in and the ones that I know about, they usually do have some sort of cutoff for joining because there is like a sign-up process, and the advisors need to allocate the resources they have for the set number of students. I'm sure there are clubs that allow students to join later in the year. The main thing, though, with that is students feel like the form initially comes out offering a sign up for this club, and it goes out for a little while, and we promote it for a bit, and then once the answers stop going out, we stop advertising it. So students likewise just feel like they cannot join the club anymore. So continual promotion of clubs, if the club wants more people, I think that's just a recommendation for them, is to keep advertising.
Thank you so much.
Of course.
Thank you, Ellen.
Thank you guys so much.
Okay, and next is reports by Board of Education committees.